Hi, welcome. This is Dr. John DeMartini. This is one of the most amazing and inspiring shows that you can listen into. If you want to be on the edge of your seats, if you want to open up your heart, if you want to expand your mind, and you want to meet incredible people, stay tuned because you're just about to experience a transformative radio show that will change your life. And you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show that's coming up right next.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me, busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail.
Hey everyone, welcome. Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. This is a very special edition of the show. You know, I've spent a lot of time recently reflecting, and it's been so fascinating. Many of you heard me talk about the difficulty last year and my best friend being very, very sick. It gave me a lot of time to reflect, but it also helped me with priorities. And what are the questions that we ask ourselves? Let me quote one of our fantastic hosts, Sarah Main. Let me just tell you a little bit about what it was like for a minute when I first met her. When you get asked questions or when you're sharing this with someone, are you ready to connect with your soul? Are you eager to take determined step forward towards achieving your life's purpose? Are you ready to get answers to life's deepest questions, to nurture your strengths and say goodbye to anything holding you back? Now, what I just read is a very short description of her fabulous show, Damayanti. But I will tell you that my experience in reflecting the journey I've had with Sarah Main goes back. And it goes back to when she first joined the network. And what an honor it was to be able to learn from her, to understand about something so very powerful. And then it was in the form of conscious confidence, a timeless wisdom. And I went back and I listened to that first episode that we did. And I looked at the date of that first episode, and I believe it was November 20th, 2017. And when I went back, I was so honored to be part of this journey. Today, you're going to hear what it's like when two souls connect, what it's like when you reflect upon a time together, a timeless journey, and what you're left with to hold in your heart to move forward. Sarah is not only a best-selling author, she is amazing. She's lived in Sydney her whole life, a place that I always wanted to go. And at the age of 8, she felt a deep, profound energy and presence, and you're going to hear about that today. And what that has done is taken her on a journey that I rarely think about anymore as being unusual for somebody like me, a kid from the Bronx. And I totally embrace and say the word Sanskrit. And as a matter of fact, I don't wake up every day without absolutely making sure that I'm wearing a bracelet to remind me, and the many ways I've understood the symbolism in what she teaches. Probably for her, I'm not sure, but we'll hear from her in a second. How many people has she been in front of? How many people, how many lives has she touched? Well, it was for me an honor to get to know her then, to honor everything she's done, watch the beauty and the blossoming of a beautiful, beautiful book. And of course, we'll talk about that. But to also understand what it really means to step fully into what you are and are meant to be. Today, we're going to talk about what that journey was, where it is now, and where that journey is going to lead Sarah Main. Sarah, it's great to have you here today.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Pat. What a beautiful introduction. And it's truly been an honor, and I really mean that, an honor to be connected with you and your wonderful network at Transformation Talk Network Radio, and just be in the driver's seat of the unfolding of this journey. And you were there and an integral part at the beginning for sure, and guiding along the way. You know, it's just been wonderful. So I can only just express my gratitude to you and thank you for the opportunity today.
You know, I remember, let's just reflect on some of what I think are some of the funnier moments. At least they're funny for me as I reflect back on them. And I think back at how naive I was about the power of your work, and especially Sanskrit. I really reflect back. There was so much for me to learn, and I am truly blessed forever for your teachings. And I've come to know and honor what that journey is like for me, somebody that knew nothing, but you live this every day. And I remember I was telling Linda about this. I said, you know, I thought about, do I need to apologize for what I said to Sarah? And this goes back to when we were talking about the book. Yeah, no, right. You know where I'm going with this, right? And this is you, this beautiful life. You're teaching so many, you're teaching children, you're out in the world. Now you're creating beautiful, powerful, by the way, jewelry. I don't leave house without this and the bracelet. It doesn't happen. And yet there was a point in time where I said something to you like, now this ended up being in the one page of your book, but I said something like, Sarah, I think you should write a book on tattoos. Do you remember that? And I did. I said it because after knowing you, I've seen body art on people and symbols on people that are recognizable. And by the way, something like that ended up in your book. But here's my question for you as you reflect on this time. This is a network called the Transformation Network. And I was asked in an interview yesterday, not how did I name the show, but what did transformation mean to me? And I want to ask you that. What has transformation been like for you in this time here with us?
That is a wonderful question. Thank you. Yeah, look, it's been an opportunity for courage and for boldness, for confidence, for conscious confidence. And I didn't have those words at the time, really. It's been an opportunity to let go of old things, you know, they're inevitably to move forward, to grow, to evolve. There's stuff you see, I don't need to think that anymore. I no longer need to see myself. That person doesn't exist anymore. It's had its time. I'm here now. I don't need to respond or react in those ways anymore. And so it's been a sort of divesting transformation, and also stepping into just new power, new energy, and embracing that. You know, their phrases, embrace the new, let go of the old. But it's true. I mean, it's been an actual experience to do that. Sometimes scary, you know, sometimes difficult, because you wear some of those old experiences like an old pair of pajamas, you know, like they're comfortable and, you know, old slippers. But, you know, to actually grow and evolve and discover new things, you've got to let it all go. And that's not a reckless thing. You just let it go and find something new. And so that's probably been the key thing. But along the way, taking the opportunities like writing the book, when you said to me, I think there's a book in this, you know, that seems like an innocuous thing to say to someone. But, you know, truly the relationship we had from the beginning, I just felt it was just like this instant connection, and a connection in a way I had never experienced before. And I've had, you know, important people, spiritual teachers, all manner of connections that are significant. And when I spoke to you that first time we had a Skype chat, I just felt like I was meeting a soul that I'd known forever. And there was no barrier. I could actually say whatever I wanted to say. I didn't have to sort of pick my words or anything. And that was just liberation. So I am eternally grateful for that. It was such a great lesson. And then from that, when you said to me, I think there's a book in that, I think, oh, all right. And one thing led to another, and the help of my wonderful husband, who is an author, and he said, right, if you're going to write a book, you need to do 500 words a day. He got me organized because I didn't know how to sort of organize the material, plus evolving the new material. I mean, it genuinely was taking things I had learned and just looking at them in a completely new light. And you can't envisage what that's going to be like until you're in the process of it. And that's where the boldness and the courage comes in, and stepping out of the comfort zone. I mean, that was a very real experience. And, you know, I'd step back sort of a year and a half later, and there's this actual published book with a publisher. And I think, wow, how did that happen? You know, it was a miracle, really.
But it was so wonderful. I mean, you know, I rarely get to talk about this because I don't talk about what we do together when you join us, and you in particular. I don't really talk about that. It's very private, you know, it's confidential. But there's this visioning process that I don't know where I got it from. I really don't know. But it's a 7-day process. And I remember just like it was breathing. Sarah, you got to go get yourself some flip charts.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? And I like, Sarah, you got to go get a flip chart, right? Here's what we're going to do. And then I walked it day 1, day 2, day 3.
Yeah.
And I remember when you were done, and there's much more to it that we did, but I remember right in the flip chart, it was right there.
Yeah.
Right? It was so out there about the book title, which became the book title.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
But it was exactly conscious confidence.
Yeah.
And I want to just say this to people because there are many, many different layers that occurred.
Yep.
When Sarah Main says, I wrote a book and there were things, this was not just a book. This was a soul-generated construct. Everything from the logo that she designed for it, which if you go back and you look at some of her banners, it's right there, to the fourfold way, to different diagrams in the book, to different explanations. So most people write a book and they sit and they write. This wasn't that. This was developing almost a conscious infrastructure to be able to explain a lifetime of what you've learned to people.
Yeah. But that just, honestly, Dr. Pat, you opened a space up that I was able to walk through. I was obviously ready for that. I acknowledge that, but you have no idea. But you just, that ability to be able to communicate without any barrier, you just opened that space, and I just walked right through it. And out of that came that book, that space to explore things that I had been taught and learned and studied and practiced, and just take it in a whole new way. And I had no concept of where that was going, but I genuinely felt led. But I had to take each step, you know, and follow it through. And, you know, it's just a remarkable process, and it's ongoing. It's ongoing. But it's just this now, the genuine conscious confidence to just that we are led, that in every day, in the present moment right now, we are led. And it's a very personal direction that we're given. You know, if we're in the present moment, it's not some generic thing. It's direct and personal to you in that moment if you're open to it and prepared to take that step. And sometimes it's a bit scary, sometimes it's exciting, you know, whatever it is, you just take that step and you draw on all those qualities. You draw on patience, you draw on courage, strength, resilience. As you go along, you need all those great energies, those great qualities, those great virtues and strengths. And here we are. But, you know, all the way I knew that if I ever needed something, I could just flick you a question or something and you'd be there. I didn't do it often. I didn't want to sort of overwork that. But honestly, just sometimes your input at key points was priceless, you know.
Well, you know what I loved about this, and I talked to different people that come to the network, and they always agonize over one thing we asked them to do, and that is learn how to create an episode with the 4 segments.
Yeah.
And, you know, they do agonize, and I always reference you. I always say, you know, don't do it if you don't want to do it. But there's something powerful and outline what you're going to speak about.
Yeah.
And there's an energy from that ultimately a lot of the shows that we have done have turned into parts of the book or different things.
Yeah.
And it brought me to really think about a couple of things, right? There's a power in Sanskrit, and let's talk about it for a minute. I am not an expert. I do my best. I have learned from you that there are ways to say things and ways not to say them. And, you know, what I've learned is, as you talk about so beautifully, is there are tools for achieving timeless wisdom. And that's the reflection for me today.
Yeah.
Because some of this transcends.
Mm.
And let's talk about it. Fear, anxiety, worry, and depression. I mean, there's so many energies. And, you know, Hawkins did a great job in his book, Power versus Force, to put that scale together, right?
100%. Mm.
But yet, he didn't quite tell us what to do with that. And when I reflect, I was thinking almost every time we were finished with either meeting or doing a show, it's almost like I went into a trance and had to take in, she was just speaking to me.
Yeah.
You were, but the message. And I think that's what I wanted to reflect upon too, is how at a very young age, were you touched in the heart with this presence that not only guided you then, but is guiding you today and will guide you in the future. What can we say to folks about that experience for you?
Well, you know, I could put a pin and say it was when I was 8. But that, and you know, yeah, to a degree, I mean, that is true. It was when I was 8 years old, but that present moment is ever present. It is the present moment. So whether I'm, you know, I was 8 or 18, 20, it doesn't matter actually now, because it's the present moment now. And you come into the present moment now, and it's exactly the same present moment. The present is present than when I was 8. Although I meet it now, you know, with all the experience. And it's not like bringing baggage. It's just that your being has evolved to this point. So the present moment still is, but your being has evolved to meet it now rather than as an 8-year-old.
Yeah.
But that connection with the present moment, the present moment is alive. It's conscious and it's present, and it's alive now. And you can actually connect with it, and, you know, you can ask a question like, what do I do now? But you actually then have to be open to the answer. And that's the thing. People don't always want to hear what the answer is. And it doesn't have to be a crazy answer. Usually the knowledge that comes is very practical and immediate to the present moment now, and it's perfect. It's just the next step. It's not some crazy thing like go, you know, jump off a cliff, paragliding or something. It's not crazy like that. You know, and learning to trust that present moment and that connection, that to me is the thing that is the most important thing I've ever been taught, which is come into the present moment, remember who you are, fall still, right? And then give full attention to the matter in hand. It's a 4-step process. It seems like a process, but it is the lifesaver, the guiding light. If you've just got that, come into the present moment, fall still, remember who you are, and then give full attention to the matter in hand. You can't go wrong with that advice, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And, I love this because as a result of us working together, I came up with something that works for me. And, whether we're talking about fuse, whether we're talking about the gateways of transformation, whether it doesn't matter what we're talking about it to really have, I think you called it really, what you talk about is you talk about the fourfold energy, but you
Yep.
also bring it down into some very practical things that are important. And, to your credit, I started a practice every day and I stop in the morning, almost before I don't even get out of bed. And I ask Spirit, the God of my understanding, whatever it is I'm talking to at that moment, what
Yep.
is mine to do today?
Yep.
That's the question. And sometimes it's, you got to build that website. Other times it's, Pat, do the laundry. You'll hear the word laundry. And this is what I want to talk about, because so much of this reflection and journey, I want to really talk about how practice fits into this, and the present moment isn't stagnant. And see, I think this is an awareness. This morning I asked that question, and I can't tell you how many other times throughout today I've asked that question to get direction and guidance. But I want to go back to something you've said, because you don't just talk about this, you live this. And I've seen it. I've seen it in the time, I've seen it in the work, I've seen what you've done, I've seen what you teach. I mean, we have spent time together. So I've had the honor of learning from you, both vicariously and also educationally. And one of the most beautiful things, as you think about the future, which we'll talk about today, and you think about what you're creating, is the present moment. And what I've learned is a gateway. It's become a gateway for me. And it's an interesting gateway for me, because if you truly can be as we are now, I am not thinking about what we're doing next. Yes, I'm going to be reminded of when should I go to break, but that's not here. That's not in this place. I'm not going to know what it's going to be like at the end of this until the end of this comes. And there's so much power in that. But I want to ask you this. So many people think transformation has to be so long and drawn out. And yet, when you're in the present moment and you get insight, you get it in a nanosecond, don't we?
Yes, yes. Well, the present moment is ever thus. It's present. And it is conscious. It's alive. It's not just some inert, dead nothing. It is the very essence of aliveness and creativity. And when we fall still, we actually can feel that through the body. It's like the body is hardwired to actually be connected with the present moment. And then you, as you say, it's not some, 40-year process to come into the present moment. It's here now. It's the one place we don't look, which is right under our nose. It's here. But it's a case of letting all that gets in the way be cleared out, to not pay attention to that, in other words. That's why in my book on conscious confidence, the first of the fourfold energy, the fuse program, is attention. It's that focus.
Yeah.
It's that focus, because that allows you to come into the present moment and then stay there. It's not just like bopping in and out, drop in and go. And that's what most people, that's our experience in this day and age, especially with devices and things. We're very distractible, far more than we ever used to be. But actually, having that absorption in the present moment, that is crucial. It's key, because all the knowledge is there. And as you say, sometimes it's build a website, sometimes it's do the laundry. Now, trust me, I don't get knowledge like build a website because that's not within my sphere of activity currently. But it'll be something else. And the interesting thing is, do the laundry or build the website, there's actually no difference in those activities. They are completely neutral. And to be able to just respond, it's laundry, it's, make a phone call, it's build a website, and you can respond to each of those with full heart and mind and attention, and not make a sort of value judgment that one's more important than the other. The priority is what's in the present moment.
And that's what to focus on.
Yep.
Interesting story. Sarah Main, very special guest today. You're going to hear a lot about it. We're going to talk about Damayanti, but I wanted to share something with people. You and I, we have laughed a lot. We've had sad moments. We've had frustration. I mean, there's a whole range of things, but we've laughed a lot. We really have at the right. And I remember, so this is kind of, I remember we were doing the one page for the book. And again, for me, I have one foot in the pop culture world, you know that, and then I have another foot in another world.
Yep.
But I remember just not being able to let go of this. And how do you make people aware that there is something that more and more people are using even more and more? And I'm talking about Sanskrit.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was so funny when we went through that. And I think I said something like, Sarah, what is Beckwith, J-Lo, John Led? I don't even know who the people, Kid Rock, I don't know. I just mentioned a bunch of names of people, right? Out of the gate. Jennifer Lawrence. What do all these people have in common? And last night or the night before, I was watching the Grammys, and I don't know if you watched it, but there was this guy on there called Jelly Roll, and he was tattooed all over his face. And I said, "Oh my gosh, don't let Sarah see that symbol. It is not correct." And so but I remember doing that. So here's what happens to me last night, to your point. I always get ready for shows. I don't mean I study, but I get mentally centered, heartfelt. I reflect. I don't really know what we were going to say today. But Monday nights, I started to play ping pong, table tennis. And I read part of your book. I went back to the part of your book on fear. And I had been playing in a new club. These are better players, way better. I don't speak Korean, so I don't know what we're talking about half the time. But for the past 4 weeks, Linda observed something that I wasn't playing. I wouldn't even go up to the table and put my bat on. And something shifted. I have to go back into the book, right? I went back into the book. I listened to a couple of the shows we did together. And last night, I went to the number one table where all the top guys are playing. And I decided I was going to play. And it was very hesitantly. And you could see how painful it was until the end. And this one gentleman, who's a really good player, asked me to be his partner. And from that match to the next match to the next, Linda will tell you that you could see me being lit up. And this is a sport, I'm just saying, when you're playing doubles in a sport this fast, if you are not present, you are going to have a major problem. You're going to run into each other. You're going to trip. You're going to fall. As a matter of fact, I have black and blue marks on my left hand from hitting myself. But I was reminded of the relationship that the present moment has to joy. And I want to talk to you about that when we come back, because I think that's like a secret ingredient. It's like my grandma's secret ingredient in the spaghetti sauce. Let's take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about when we reflect on life. How are we reflecting? Are we looking at the world in a way that brings us down? Are we looking at our lives? Are we full of regrets? How many resentments are we counting? And if we are, where is that going to get us? Is it going to get us to peace? Is it going to get us to joy? Is it going to get us on purpose? Are you going to know what the next indicated thing is to do? When we come back, My very special guest, Sarah Main, is going to walk us through not only what that's like, but how she's living that. And you'll get to experience what Damayanti means. Let's take a short break, everybody. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. This is a fabulous show. This is a time to reflect. And I'm reflecting with my friend, my colleague, Sarah Main. And, we turn the chapter, or we turn the page. And then when you get enough pages turned, you're turning a chapter. And then when you turn through enough chapters, you're getting to an end of a book and you start another one. And that's what so much of life feels like to me some days. Sarah, before we continue and we talk about Damayanti, we talk about other things, how do people find out more about you? Tell us a little bit of what we should know.
Well, you can go to my website, damayanti.store. That's Damayanti, Damayanti, hang on, Damayanti. Give me a break. It's early in the morning.
It's very early.
I'm not used to spelling Sanskrit in English letters. Damayanti, Damayanti, as it sounds, Damayanti.store. If you go there, that's my website, and check it out. There's the show archive streaming there, blog, and lovely energetic reminders. I've got Satya on today, which means truth.
And I've got the bracelet on, and I've got the one resilience on.
Resilience.
Yeah. Yep. And so, again, what I'm showing everybody is, and I'm not kidding, ask Linda. I do not, it doesn't matter what piece of jewelry that I may put on. It doesn't matter. I must wear this on my neck. And there are three things I wear with it and the bracelet. And just one of the many things. But it's an energy. It's not a piece of jewelry. And it took me a while to really get that. I wish I could say that out of the gate, and you know this about me, I'm evolving. I'm evolving. I know that if I'm ready to get a tattoo, I know you're going to design it for me. Nobody else.
I'm going to check the spelling, Dr. Pat. Don't you dare go anywhere near a tattoo artist until I have approved the spelling.
I will. I mean, honestly, I cringed the other night watching this show. And also you taught me something about honoring this timeless wisdom, the pronunciation, the words, the power of them, how they're said. But the question I want to ask you about is a time to reflect, but now it's the point in time to look ahead a little bit. I get asked some interesting questions, Sarah, these days. This is my 20th year. This is our 15th year going into 2025 for the network. So we're going to be doing a lot of announcements, a lot of things like that.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty much in the shadows here because a lot to get done to launch the technology. And you know what that's like to build the store and to do, right? You went through that.
Yeah.
But I get asked the weirdest questions. How much longer are you going to keep doing that? And I'm always stunned by it. And I never really, I never really knew what to say. But those are not questions you and I ask each other. The question that I have for you is, I want to look back. I want to talk about Damayanti, what it means, but I also want to look ahead. I want to ask you, as you look ahead and you look at the horizon, what are you most excited about? What is next for you to create?
Another great question. You really nail those questions, Dr. Pat. I've always admired that about you. Thank you. Well, it's really evolving. Sanskrit is amazing, but it is a bridge, and it can be a barrier for people because it's just a bridge too far. It's not everyone's going to study Sanskrit. It would be wonderful if they did, be transformative if they did. I know that. I have taught many, many, many students over many, many, many years, young and older, child and adult. And, you know, it is transformational. However, it's, you know, the reality is it's a way of evolving a message that doesn't require even mentioning the word Sanskrit.
Right, exactly.
Right?
Yeah,
Because
I
you know,
mentioned it during the show because it's part of the reflection of my journey with you. And I also didn't talk about
exactly.
how I mispronounced it for like a year.
I know lots of people that still can't pronounce it. They'd never heard the word Sanskrit when they met me, and now they still can't pronounce the word, but that's okay. But it's the thing, you know, being able to connect, say you've got a bracelet that's got prema on it, which means love, universal love, love for all, unconditional love, love now and forever. It's love, right? And but you don't need the word prema. It's the energy that's behind that word, right? And it's coming to that, because if it requires everybody to know the word prema, then we've, you know, Houston, we've got a problem, because that's just, it's not going to happen. All right, reality, it's not going to happen. So it's how to deliver the message and the energy and the wisdom, open a door, in other words. If people start asking about Sanskrit, great. But it's also broadening out what's on offer, what's available, so that people are more connected with the present moment. And then, you know, Sanskrit can certainly be in that mix. So, you know, look, it's a bit of a general thing because it's evolving, but that's, you know, I've actually opened an Etsy store. If you really want to know.
I do really want to know, because I didn't want to like bring it up, but I really want to know, because I think we have to use multiple ways that we're guided to use to really get the word out so that more and more people can find peace.
Yeah, exactly. And that peace and connection with the present moment and with themselves, because in the end, that is the way forward. And so I've opened an Etsy store. It's called All Things Eternal Shop, with a capital A, all one word. It's a bit weird the way they do these things. Capital A, All Things Eternal, capital S Shop, all one word. But if you go to Etsy and search a store, All Things Eternal Shop, it's there. And the idea is to present things that all have a positive, uplifting message, but of much more general appeal, fun things, funky things, but much more general appeal that get people connected and in that vibe of positivity and presence. Because it's, you know, it's not just a nice feel-good thing. It is that. And Lord knows everybody needs a little dose of that in this day and age. You know, it's the energies are not easy. But it's just to have those easy everyday connections. And the jewelry is one thing, but, you know, maybe you want a t-shirt, maybe you want a hoodie, maybe you want a coffee mug, maybe you want something for your house. We're working on some wall art, metal art, all sorts of things, just so that you can actually fill your home and fill your day-to-day life with some positive energy, you know, and gift that to people, and that to be the priority. Because really, you know, that's where I'm being drawn, to be honest with you, because I could sit in the rarefied air of Sanskrit, but it can, you know, that I don't feel like I'm meeting a lot of people. It's like, you know, I go back to when I was a teacher. You know, you'd have a room full of students, and you basically, if I just talked about Sanskrit, I would be talking to 10% of the kids in the room, and there'd be the other 90% just sitting there looking out the window. It's just not meeting where they are.
Yeah. You know what's fascinating about it, because glad you brought this up. I'm really glad you brought it up. First of all, I'm glad you're over at Etsy. I'm glad you're doing that. And you had me at metal art. That's it. I can't wait. But what's fascinating about it is I play in this and I play in this.
Yeah.
And people will ask me, what are you touching? They will ask me, they'll see me, right? And especially when I wear the bracelet on this hand and I have a lower shirt than I have on and people will ask me what I'm touching. And I'll say, I'm touching love. Right? Now, my partner, Dipti, has more knowledge of that, but people are interested in that. And I end up saying, because you run out of things to say because I'm not an expert. And I say, I want you to watch me. And they're like, okay, yeah. So watch what happens after I touch my necklace. Watch how many points I make. I swear this is true. And then I said, watch me when I fiddle around with my bracelet. Watch how quickly I move. And so I got 3 people now that are observing me play in this way. I don't know how it works. I just know that in that present moment, in the nanosecond before a ball is hit 40, 50 miles an hour at me, in that present moment, I need every help I can to remember to stay like this. For me, it's that, because I've come to understand the energy and the meaning of it. And this is why I wanted to talk with you, because both you and I, we're on, it's not websites versus, what it is both of us are kind of in the same place.
Yeah.
Both of us have reached this place at the same time. And let me ask you about it. It's the place that is now calling us to reach more people.
Yeah.
To broaden the definition.
Yeah.
Of get rid of the word alternative. Broaden the definition. Yeah. Step out onto a spiritual path in a different way. Open up the door for more inclusiveness. That's why for us, we're coming up with more channels, the way we're launching our technology. That's why we're not afraid to do shows on diversity and racism, right?
Yeah.
Is that a call? Is that what this call is calling you forward? To really reach more people so they can have the experience you and I are talking about right now?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's, I suppose for me, it's not diluting the message.
No.
It's not, I don't know how to put it, but lowering the standard. It's just finding another way of saying it that meets where everyone is now. Because look, fact is, when I was growing up and studying meditation and learning all of this sort of thing, the atmosphere, the energy was different. You and I've got the experience of pre-internet and now with internet, right?
Yeah, yes, for sure.
And honestly, and I noticed the difference when I was teaching in people, the consciousness, people's level of consciousness has shifted. And it's just meeting it where it is now. It's not better, it's not worse. It's just, it is presenting differently. And just to meet it where it is. Otherwise, you're just sitting there talking. And like I say, it's like being in a classroom and you're talking to 10% of the kids at like over in one corner, and everyone else is looking out the window and throwing paper balls at each other and chatting whilst you have that chat over in the corner. And what's the point of that? So and everybody needs that connection now. That's what I see, is that connection. When I was coaching with my clients, number one was getting them here now and plugged back into themselves. And often when I did that, 90% of the issues that they presented to me in a coaching environment went away, because they were in the present moment, connected with themselves and out of a lot of the narratives in their head and leaving a lot of the past behind. They were in the present moment and they were empowered by that, and they had the clarity to move forward. So, if having some piece of apparel or some jewelry, because we do sell jewelry on the Etsy store, all sorts of things, just different ways that are easy to come at, they get you connected. That to me is the biggest and most transformational thing. I did it when I was teaching and I had issues with kids. I get them into the present moment, and then all of a sudden the whole thing changed. And that to me is the essence of transformation, really.
It is. It is. And, that's why, so many of us that for me, I get asked the question, why are you doing this work with your host? And I just look at people. I was talking to another network person and a friend of mine that owns a network, right? He's like, I don't get it. Why are you still talking to your host? I mean, like, what do you mean? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And so there's this notion that you evolve your purpose.
Yeah.
I think your purpose evolves you. But here's the thing I love about what you're doing.
Mm.
We have to adapt and adjust. Look, I had somebody call me from, what was it, Stanford? I can't remember, Berkeley, one of them over there, universities. And by the way, Australian university, because they studied the same. And they said, can you please send us your research data, the raw data? I said, really? I said, do you know when I did my dissertation? They said, yeah, it wasn't too long ago, 2001, blah, blah, blah. I said, we use floppy disks. Hello. And I said, I have them. I don't know what to do with them. Why do you want them? They said, we want to rerun your data set because it's more applicable to the world we live in today. And we want to use it for comparison.
Mm.
And the person said to me, what's a floppy disk? And
say those two words, floppy
what's a
and
floppy disk? And I'm like I said, but the point was, can we get your raw data? Now, I don't know if it can be converted, but the point is that when we stand forward in life and we have a message that's so profoundly relatable, and it's going to raise and help evolve the vibration and the level of people we are and what we do, there's going to be a way. I want to talk to you about one last thing. You did something fascinating at the end of every show. It was fascinating to me.
Yeah.
I understood. I got introduced to mantra in 1994 or 5, what a mantra was. I'm a kid from New York. I couldn't even say it right. Like, what's a mantra? Is that like some kind of fish? But then I got introduced, and then I started to listen to the music over and over again. It's transformative. As a matter of fact, you can't come in my studio without it being on or something being on. But your versions of them, powerful beyond belief. What role do they play?
Well, they are a direct connection with that higher, purer consciousness. And, I did them at the end of each show because it's just what I do, but it was an opportunity, takes you immediately past all the narratives and thoughts and stuff, immediately into just another realm altogether. And it's right here and right now. And that's genuinely transformational. And that's the role it plays. I mean, it's purifying and connecting, and to be able to just offer that and give everyone listening an opportunity to just fall into that for a moment. That's certainly something I could offer. And it seems silly not to.
Well, I hope you have one for today.
I do. I've got lots. I was going to give you a choice.
Okay, give me a choice. Go ahead. Come
on. You can have the peace mantra. You can have the a personal favorite, which is the prayer for all. All be happy. And then I think you were quite fond of the Gayatri mantra.
I was. I have no idea why that is.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, there has to be something about that one that really goes back to past lives or something for me.
Yeah, indeed.
Because to this day, you have to see how I start my day. And when I'm really, really anxious, it plays, I have it on autoplay over and over and over again. What do you think that's about, Sarah?
Well, it's a vibration. It's an energy. That's the thing. And what it does is it just gets you connected. Again, it's this connection point, gets you connected so that that other energy can dissipate and brings you back into the present moment. So, so powerful. But we need these things. We need to be able to hear these things or chant them or sing them or have a piece of jewelry. We need these energetic reminders, these ways of connecting. We just do.
Yeah.
You know, and that's one of the reasons I was led to the jewelry initially and now the broader offering, because my aim is that, you know, someone can connect and they've never heard of the word prema. When I say love, what's behind what I say is my understanding of Sanskrit and prema and the derivation of that word. So I bring all of that when I use the word love.
Yeah.
But not everyone's going to have that. And that's not a problem, but they can still connect with love and what it really means. And that's why I want these things that are accessible and easy for everyone.
Where can we find you on Etsy? What is the best way to do that?
All Things Eternal Shop is the name of the store.
Perfect.
All one word, All Things Eternal Shop. If you search that store, I'll drop you the link.
Yes, and let's make sure we put it in here because I think this is really for you and me where we are is we realize that we have a lot of people staring out a window sometimes when we speak. So the question is, what can we do to help? What can we do to reach more? Because we know when we reach people, we reach them. I mean, we're up to 500,000 plus unique visitors a month. That's unique. You know, what that means is like people that don't come 5 or 6 times. And we just found that out. But I think we can do more. Sarah, why don't we do the mantra?
Okay. Which one would you like? The Gayatri mantra?
The Gaia, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I haven't heard it in so long from you.
Okay. I'll just have a little, excuse me. This is one of the, most ancient, most traditional mantras. It's traditionally said 3 times, repeated 3 times. It's virtually untranslatable. So there are so many translations of its meaning because it's you know, that sort of poetry that that doesn't translate directly. So I'll give you our version. It says, body of all, mind of all, spirit of all. Excuse me, body of all, mind of all, spirit of all. May we meditate on the Supreme, on the all-pervading radiance of the ultimate source of divine light. May we find the innermost source of that light. May peace and peace and peace be everywhere. Om Bhur Bhuva Suvaha Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. Om Bhur Bhuva Suvaha Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. Om Bhur Bhuva Suvaha Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Thank you, Sarah. I want to just ask you one last thing. We've talked about a lot, we've reflected a lot, and you're always welcome here.
Thank
you. Especially whatever we can do to help let more people know about what you're doing, know about what you're creating. It's so important. It's just so important. You know, that is the essence that moves me forward. You know, this body of work without collaboration, these long hours without connection, you know, it falls on a very shallow vision of life. And I think that's so important for all of us. That's what you're doing in the world. You're helping people connect around peace, around love, around light. Thank you. I would love to know your personal message. I would love to know what you'd like to leave us with. And you will always have a home here, and you'll always have a very big place in my heart. And I want to thank you for that.
Well, thank you, Dr. Pat. Thank you. Thank you. I feel that. I feel really a home at TTR. Really, I do. And thank you for all the support from 2017. Would you believe it was earlier in 2017 before I launched to now, to the first show in November. It was a whole year of getting ready, and just helping to get the message out was just, it's golden to me. And I talk about it a lot, and I truly, truly value that. So thank you. Really what I would say is, love and light and positivity is ever present. It is in the present moment. It is in you, around you, and through you. And that's what we have to offer. That's what we have to evolve in our life, in whatever we're doing, in whatever situation, and in the present moment. And it is in the present moment. So always come into the present moment, fall still. Remember who you truly are as a universal being, and then give full attention and love to what's before you, whether it's the laundry or building a website. It doesn't matter. Whether you're talking to a king or you're, cleaning up some mess that your kids made in the kitchen, it doesn't matter. Fall still, remember who you are, come into the present moment, and then give full attention and love to what's before you. If you can practice that in whatever simple way every day, that is transformational, and that uplifts.
And Sarah, one more time, how do we find out about all your creations, where you are, and what's going to be available to people?
Well, there's damayanti.store. That's my website, damayanti.store, and there's more coming on that, so stay tuned. And I'm on Etsy, All Things Eternal Shop, All Things Eternal Shop. And there's lots of fun stuff there. And there's more coming on that as well. So
All Things Eternal Shop.
All Things You Shop. Yeah, put the shop on.
Put the shop on. Okay, look, you keep dancing. I'll keep hitting that little white ball. Thank you so much, Sarah, for everything.
All right, thank you. God bless. Thank you so much.
You too. For more about Sarah Main, of course, as we move forward, you will hear us play more and more of her shows. We want you to be familiar with that. Also, you'll hear us tell you more and more about what she's doing, just like today, so that we can all come together at this place, Rumi said it best. I shared this the other day. There's a poem that I use with young people in recovery. And it's a poem that starts out beyond wrongdoing and right doing. It's just a beautiful message. It's a place where you meet. And of course, you can look the poem up yourself, but it's that place. It's that place where you meet. And when you meet, the center of your heart is pure love. And that's the message from Sarah Main. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much.
Oh, bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. And to all of you, more to come. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.